What's going on, everyone? We are back with another learning how to handicap video. In this video, we are discussing wager types, the different types of bets that you can make on the race. So if we bring up the past performance right here, you will see at the top of the past performance page of the race that you're looking at all the different wager types that are allowed in this race. Even if it's not mentioned, the three types of bets that are going to be universal across every race are win, place, and show. And what does that stand for? Well, win is self-explanatory. You are betting the horse to win the race. The only way you cash your bet is if they win. Place bet, they have to come in second or first. And then show bet, they have to come in at least third. So first, second, or third, you will win your show bet. Each of these three bets, these are the three most basic bets in horse racing. It's the most common way to start out when first getting into the races. And each of them has their own pool. And what I mean by that is every dollar that you put, let's say, in a win bet. So let's say you place $5 on a horse to win. Well, that $5 goes into the entire win pool. So everyone else who bets money to win on a horse, that money goes into the win pool. And these are how the odds of the horses are defined. So if all of the win money is going on one particular horse, then that horse is going to end up being the favorite because all of the money is pouring in on that horse to win. So if the horse does win, well, most of the money is bet on him or her anyway, so the payouts are going to be low, thus the odds are going to be low. Win bet is the most common bet to do in horse racing because you are directly seeing the payout that you're going to get. So if the horse you're betting on to win is 2-1, that means if you hit your win bet, it's going to pay $2 for every $1 that you wagered. So if you wagered $5, you're going to get $10. You wagered 5, you get 10, 2-1. That's the ratio. And that's how the win bet works. It's very simple. Place bets and show bets are essentially the same way. However, you're not able to see what your projected payouts will be, at least not as easily. Some tracks do show the pool money going in and the amount of place and show dollars on each horse. However, it's a little more difficult for you to personally calculate how much the payout will be if you hit. Show bet is obviously the easiest to hit of the three, so the payouts are naturally lower. Now, the only time the show bet can be quite profitable is if there is a heavy favorite in the race and there is an absurd amount of show money on that horse to come in third or better, that eventually one of them is going to lose or not come in the top three, whether it be due to a freak injury or, they come from the back and they get bottled up. And that's when the show pool can be quite profitable because they're not betting anything on the other horses, so that way all of the money that went on that heavy favorite is now scattered throughout the rest of the field, and the payouts can be quite good. But this is a rare instance. Even when you do have the opportunity where the heavy favorite has a lot of show money, more times than not they are going to come in the top three. However, you can take a small chance, putting $2 on every horse's show, and even if the favorite does come in, you're still going to get, some of your money back. That's one way to play show. A lot of horse players when starting out will do win just because you see the odds, you know what you're going to get, and it's the easiest bet to understand. But if we're looking at the top of the past performances, you see the different type of wagers that are exotic wagers. So for this race in particular, you have exacta, trifecta, pick 3, pick 4, and daily double. So let's go through each one of these. So exacta is when you pick the top 2 finishers in the race. So you need to pick first place and you need to pick second place in that particular race. There's many ways that you can form this bet. You can make it where you just do a straight bet, meaning you have, okay, I think the number 2 horse is going to win, and I think the number 3 horse is going to come in second. That is the cheapest way that you can do one of these bets. Another way, which is a more common way, is that you spread a little. And by that you can either box, or you can do a horse that you like on top and have many horses in second. So let's say you really like the number 2 horse to win the race. A big strategy that a lot of people will do, if they really like one particular horse in the race to win, they will put their horse on top. So let's say like the number 2, they'll put the number 2 horse in first place, and they'll put the rest of the horses in second place. Now you might think this might get a little expensive. However, you have to think about it from a odds perspective. So let's say there's 10 horses in the race, and you put the number 2 horse in first, and then you put the rest of the field in second. So you have 1 horse over 9 other horses, and that's your bet. So what are the odds that you win? Well, you need the 2 horse to come in first, or else your wager is already in kaput. And then once the 2 horse, if he does come in first, you win your bet. However, think about it logically. If you have 1 over 9 in a race, you only have 9 possible chances of hitting, 9 possible outcomes. So it can be 2 over 1, 2 over 3, 2 over 4, so on and so forth. And that's how the cost of your bet is calculated. So it's based upon how many different outcomes can occur in your bet. And because you only have 1 horse that can come in first, you're pretty much eliminating every other outcome where the 2 horse doesn't win, which means it is going to be quite cheaper. Now when you start getting into boxes, and all boxes means is you pick your horses, and literally those horses can just come in first or second. So if you have a 3 horse box, let's say you pick the 1 to 2 and the 3 horse, and you box it. So if any combination of those 3 horses come in first and second, you win. Now however, a 3 horse box costs $6, and you might think, okay, well why does that cost 6? But I can do 1 over 9, and that only costs 9. If I feel like I'm getting a better chance if I have 9 horses in second rather than just 3. But think about it, you're also having 3 horses in the possibility of first place. So the 1 can come in first, the 2 can come in first, or the 3 can come in first. While in the other bet, only the 2 horse could win. And you have to understand that it's a lot better to have a strong opinion rather than spread. Because if you do a lot of spreading, a lot of boxing, a lot of like 3 horses over 4 and 4 over 5, or if you're just boxing 4 straight away, it's going to get quite pricey. If you box just 4 horses in an exacta, it's $12 because there's 12 different scenarios. But in the scenario that we looked at earlier, if you pick 1 over 9, you're getting 9 different chances in second rather than only 4 in the box. So that's how you have to look at it. You have to look at it from, okay, what's going to pay more, and also what's going to cost more. It's all about making profit in this game and looking at it from a, okay, how much can I spread on this particular horse while maximizing my profit? And that's what horse racing is all about. If we look at the next wager, it's Trifecta. Now, it's pretty much the same thing as an exacta. However, you have to pick the horse that comes in third as well. And it works the exact same way as I just explained in the exacta. So you have to pick first, second, and third. You can do a straight, 1 horse over 2 horse over the 3 horse. You can start spreading, box 1, 2, 3. So that combination of 3 horses has to come in first, second, and third. And then you can do, the keys. Like I said in the first exacta example, you can have the 2 horse winning over all. But however, that's going to be a hell of a lot more expensive than the exacta bet you did, because that was only 1 horse over 9. If you do that with the trifecta, it's 1 horse over 9 over 9. So that's going to be a lot more expensive because you get a lot more, outcomes. Okay, it could be the 2 over 1, 3, 2 over 4, 6, 2 over 5, 9. You get the gist. There's a hell of a lot more scenarios that come into play, and it's going to be a lot more expensive for you to make that type of wager. So the most common, key is you focus on 1 horse that you like to win, and then you focus on like 3 or 4 horses that you think could come in second and third. And that way you can spread a little, but it's still going to be a lot cheaper because you're only having one horse coming first and only a small handful coming second or third. Trifecta, as you can imagine, is a lot more difficult than hit the exacta bet. So trifectas will, by nature, pay out larger amounts. However, keep in mind they are much harder to hit for a reason. Even though you might think in the back of your head, there's only 10 horses in a race. And if you cover a lot, well, there's only 10. How could it be that hard to hit? Trust me, it is very difficult to hit these types of wagers consistently. You have to have a specific strategy where you don't spend that much and hope that, if you bet it across 10 races, that it's going to hit once, just your system that you personally come up for yourself. This race doesn't have it, but there's also Superfecta Betting, which is you have to pick first, second, third, and fourth. And there's even high five betting, which is first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. That is a very rare bet. Tracks will only usually offer it on one race of the entire meet, and it is very difficult to hit. And to be honest, not that many people play it. Superfecta is actually a little interesting because there are scenarios where the tracks will have a 10-cent denomination superfecta. So instead of having to pay a minimum of $1, so exactas are usually a minimum of $1, trifectas are usually a minimum of $1, superfectas can actually start at 10 cents. So if you were going to pick a straight bet of first over second over third over fourth and just one horse in each position, theoretically that's 10 cents. And the combinations, you can do a lot more and it doesn't end up being that much. However, you have to keep in mind, you're still trying to pick first and then second and then third and then fourth. It's a much more difficult bet to hit naturally. And it depends on how much money is actually being thrown into the pool. That's what you have to remember with these bets, is that let's say you do hit the exacta and you thought it was considerably difficult to hit. Like it was like a 10-1 over a 15-1. It should pay pretty well, right? The favorite was nowhere to be close. The second choice was nowhere to be close. However, if there's not that much money in the exacta pool, then it's not going to pay that much because not that many people are throwing money into the pool. However, this is not usually the case. Exactas usually have the most amount for an exotic wager in the race. So if you want to bet a pool that's typically going to have higher payouts, exacta and trifecta will usually have the most money in the pool for exotic wagers, until we get into the next part, which is pick threes and pick fours and daily doubles. Now, what are these? These aren't necessarily individually for the race that you're looking at. These are spread over a long amount of races. So take a pick three. The reason that it's listed is because this race starts a pick three. And all you're doing is picking the three next winners of the three next races. So this race, you pick the winner. The next race, you pick the winner. Then the following race, you pick the winner of the race. So it starts with the race that it says, okay, pick three wagering is available. You pick the three winners of this race, next race, and the next race. And it goes self-explanatory from there. Pick four, you pick four winners. Pick five winners, six winners. Now it works the same way in terms of calculating how much you're going to bet as exactas and trifectas. So instead of going, okay, who's going to come in first place and second place in this race, think about it just, okay, who's going to come in first place in this race, first place in the second race, first place in third. So the way you can look at it is if it's a pick three, you can almost think about it as a trifecta bet just across multiple races rather than one individual race. So you're picking first place, the horse that you most likely think is going to win. These pools can also get quite lucrative. A lot of the more older, experienced handicappers like to do pick three, pick four, pick five, pick six, because sometimes it can be a life-changing score, especially pick five and pick six. However, this is very difficult to do, as you can imagine. You're picking 6 consecutive winners. And as you can imagine, you have to have really strong opinions on races, or you have to spread and have a deep budget to play with, because these tickets can get quite expensive. As you can imagine, if you're picking the winners of 6 races in a row, I mean, even if you only put 2 horses in each spot, so 2 can win race 6, race 7, race 8, race 9, race 10, and race 11, that itself is still quite expensive. You have to have strong opinions on certain races and only put 1 horse that can win. And as you can imagine, if the fields get larger and larger, it's quite difficult to hit. However, the scores can be life-changing if you were to hit. Sometimes in the bigger tracks like Saratoga and Del Mar, where there's a lot of money that goes into these pools and only like 1 or 2 people can hit them, then sometimes the payouts are $500 to $1 million. So as you can imagine, a lot of the handicappers like to chase the dream, and they'll put some money into it, and that's all they focus on is the winners of each race. Daily double is just the winner of this race and the next race. So if it says daily doubles available, that means the start of it is in this race, and then you bet the winner of the following race. So it's kind of like the exacta, only across 2 races rather than 1 individual race. So that's a little cheaper to play. As you can imagine, the payouts aren't as high as a pick 3, pick 4, pick 5 because it's easier to hit. However, you can still make a decent amount of money, just like in the exactas. If you have a horse that you like, that's a long shot, and if they hit first place, well, then the payouts can be quite well because no one else is going to have, that much money on them. Next to the pick 4, you'll see that there is a 50-cent note. This is just the denomination of the bet. So instead of being $1 minimum, it's 50-cent minimum. Just like the Superfecta that I was talking about earlier. If the track has Superfecta wagering available, you'll often see a, in parentheses, 0.10, meaning a 10-cent denomination is also available. It's a lot cheaper to get into. You can spread a lot more, and they're fun to do. However, they're not lucrative in the long term if you play that every race, because more oftentimes than not, you're not going to hit unless you spread like crazy. So this has been an introduction to wagering types, the many wagering types. I'm sure there's a bunch more that I could go over, but these are the most often that you are going to see in a racetrack. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments below. I love answering questions. Horse racing is my passion, as I've said multiple times already. I have an ebook if you are interested. I'll leave it in the link below. But like I said, I'll be covering pretty much everything in my ebook in these free videos for you to watch and enjoy. Please give it a like if you like it. Comment if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.